As far as fact goes, put fact in the Google, what pops up is a thing that is undisputably the case, the truth about events as opposed to interpretation, a piece of information used as evidence or as part of a report or news article. Got a dictionary here. It's American Heritage. They have fact as information presented as true and accurate, something having real, demonstrable existence, and I may have said that wrong, but that's what it looks like to me. And then the third one here is something done, ESP, a crime, especially before the fact, yada yada yada. But I think what's interesting to note here is the first definition here as being information presented as true and accurate. Again, it says presented as true and accurate. So not necessarily information that is true and accurate, it's presented as true and accurate. And that's what I want to touch on about facts. Facts can change, depending on the information was presented. If I go out, let's say I'm in jail for murder. Okay? I'm in jail for murder. Now, at the time, the facts, the evidence could have shown that I committed this murder. And let's say time passes, new evidence is presented, and now that shows I didn't commit the murder and it was somebody else. The fact is, I went to jail for murder. And the new fact is, however, I didn't commit that murder. Or there was evidence that showed I didn't commit that murder. So that's the thing about facts. And you will hear the saying, history is written by the victors. And this is also true. So if we look at the facts, you take your time and you look at the facts, you will see that black people aren't any more violent or destructive than any other race. Comment 1. Comment 2. If you don't want to look at that and you still feel that we are, ask yourself why. Why is it that way? Then in those facts, you will see that in America, black people have not always had it the greatest. They just haven't. A lot of the times, people of authority, which at the beginning stages of America, who were white, they were harsher, have been shown to be harsher to black people than they are to white counterparts. That's fact. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to mention that. People are just fine. The news, the media, these political, talk show hosts or whatever, they're fine with just saying, oh, black people are violent, black people are this, but don't want to really look at the real facts and the truth and be like, whatever violence, whatever destruction, whatever mayhem is caused is a product of what you made black people to be. So going back to, and people hate to talk about this, but you got to bring it up. Slavery. It was real. It happened. It happened in America. It was perpetrated by white people. You got to own up to that. People just hate to. They like to say that black people are violent and black people do this and black people do that. And be fine with that. But as soon as you try to bring up slavery or what happened during slavery and stuff like that, they went, oh, that was in the past, try to push back. You have to learn from your past. You have to acknowledge that. And my biggest point that I want to make, and I'm going to say this here now, is that both black people, white people, all prejudice, all racism, we have to acknowledge both the parts we play in the situation. We have to. You know what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge the past and learn from it. You know what I'm saying? We have to move forward. You know what I'm saying? If we don't both acknowledge it, accept it, and try to move forward in a positive fashion, it's basically going to be an extremely long time before racism in this country really improves. You know what I'm saying? It's, oh, well, we got a black president. Yeah, we got a black president. I will say that was a big step. But as far as every day, you know, everyday black people, everyday uh, black and white interactions, everyday racism like that, we still have a long way to go. Yeah, we're not slaves no more, but we still have a long way to go. You know, and so just to give the history, you know what I'm saying? Black people were brought to America, you know, just from the beginning, 17th, 18th century, 1700s to 1800s. In the beginning, brought to America as slaves. You know what I'm saying? We were treated like animals, man. We were treated less than animals. You know, like dogs got treated better than we did. You know, we were bought and sold like, you know, like a tool. You know what I'm saying? A person, a live person, bought and sold, treated like less than an animal, man. Like, and white people need to understand that. You know what I'm saying? You need to understand that. No, you not doing it now. You know what I'm saying? Not to say all, not doing it now, but as soon as you look at a black person, African American person, whatever you want to call it, as soon as you just look at me and just turn your nose up and you just get that inferiority about you, that's what it's like. You know what I'm saying? And because white people have always been, you know, dominant, you know, they've always been dominant wherever they go. They annihilate who was there first. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them convert or die issues. You know what I'm saying? They annihilate who was there first and they take over. Which is my point being, history is written by the victors. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we were, you know, treated like less than animals. You know what I'm saying? For a long time. A long time. 150, 200 years, treated like animals. You know, and then another thing that's talked about a lot is, you know, they always bring up how, you know, um, you know, fathers being absent, fathers being gone, black fathers not standing around, yada yada yada. Here's another fact. Think about it. When we were brought over as slaves, either you separated us from our family, you know, you separated the Africans from their families in Africa and brought them over, or if you brought the whole family over, you separated the male out anyway. You broke up families. White people broke up families. Those people that owned slaves, they broke up families. So whatever is inherent, if you want to say that, you can contribute it to that. You can contribute it start to there. And I don't think nobody's ever thought about that. But you can't make some old black people, black fathers never around, da da da. Well, first brought us over here, that's the first thing you taught us, leave our families. You know what I'm saying? It's one way to look at it. Now, I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I got a son and I've been in his life since he was born, tried to be around as much as possible. Me and his mother are still together. We are married. Um, we did have him at a wedlock, but you know I loved her and I know I wanted to marry her. And that's, you know, that's just life. That's things, you know, things happen. You know, but I had that I had that drive because my father, you know, wasn't always around. He didn't grow up. I'm the oldest of three. My mom's a single mother. You know, for the most part, raising me and my two sisters. Um, and because he wasn't around, you know, I told myself that despite whatever, you know, me and my child's mom went through, whoever it was when I had kids, that I was going to be in his life. what I'm saying, I made that decision for myself and decided to be, you know what I'm saying, the best father I could be based off of that, you know. And yeah, some people will say that's commendable, you know what I'm saying, but I'm saying there is, you know, you have choices, you know what I'm saying, and black people, black males, yeah, we need to live up to those, you know, we need to live up to that, you know what I'm saying. Just because your father wasn't around doesn't mean you got to do the same things your fathers did. You know what I'm saying, that's another situation there. Learn from the past. You know what I'm saying? I went to college, you know, went to high school, graduated number three in my class, went off to college, got my bachelor's degree in welding engineering. You know, my father didn't graduate high school. Well, I take that back. I think he graduated high school. He didn't go to college. My mom graduated high school as well. She didn't go to college. But I said I wanted a better life than what I had. You know what I'm saying? Than what I grew up in, and I wanted to provide a better life for my family than what I grew up in. And my dad being absent influenced a lot of the way I thought about stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, and my mom doing the best she can, you know what I said, again, influenced a lot I thought about stuff. So I feel like, you know, that statement there about fathers, you know, being absent and da 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 da, like I said, I feel like you can contribute it to that. Like, you know what I'm saying? That there's a connection that could be made there in my mind. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is my opinion. So, and just to get back to the history, you know what I'm saying, if we fast forward to 1900s to now, you know what I'm saying, slavery gets abolished, you know what I'm saying, which is, you know, sounds good on paper, right? But stuff is still not great for black people. Um, one reason being because a lot of the people that's still in control, that's still authority figures, are white. And a lot of these white authority figures still have prejudice or racism against black people. So yes, slavery was abolished, but then now you got segregation. You know what I'm saying? We can't go to the same schools as white people. We can't go to the same restrooms as white people. We can't use the same water fountains as white people. So yeah, you abolish slavery, you know what I'm saying, no more slaves, all well and good. But then you still got this prejudice that's prevalent, and you got this justice system that's ran by white people. You know what I'm saying? You have very few of those white people that actually gave black people a fair chance, a fair trial. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So we didn't have equal, you know what I'm saying? We didn't have equal rights right away. We had to fight for those. And another thing that I want to bring up as far as that goes is the protests. Um, I advise you to go watch the movie Selma if you don't feel like, you know, rereading history books. As far as, you know, Martin Luther King Jr. and, you know, his speech and his protest, his peaceful protest, go check that movie out. You will see one of the biggest points I want to make um, about the comments they're making about the riots and the protests and stuff like that. So, as you may or may not know, Martin Luther King performed a lot of peaceful protests. During those peaceful protests, men and women who were in places, in positions of authority, came at them with violence. So even with them trying to be peaceful and being peaceful, they were approached with violence. Authorities figures, you know, cops, you know, judges being approached with violence. So for you to say that black people are inherently violent, I present you with that. When we are peaceful, when black people were being peaceful, you approached them, you gave them violence. And so even still after that, you know, Martin Luther King don't retaliate, still preach peace, still preach brotherhood between all races. It's what he preached. You know what I'm saying? But my point is that he preached this peacefulness and demonstrated this peacefulness, and yet you still attacked them with violence. And yet we are the violent race. We are destructive. It's because of what you've done. Don't How you gonna teach somebody something and expect them not to use it? You know what I'm saying? How you gonna teach somebody to fish, and then when they fish, you get mad that they fishing? You know what I'm saying? How you gonna teach a dog to attack, and you get mad when he attacked? Not saying that he attacks you, but you get mad when he attacked. You know what I'm saying? So you want us to be peaceful. When we were being peaceful, you came at us with violence. So now all we know how to do is answer violence with violence, which that never solves anything. And like I said, I'm not condoning the riots and stuff like that, but I'm saying here is this is where it comes from. Whenever black people try to protest and police show up in riot gear, we don't want the same thing happening to us that happened, to Martin Luther King and his protesters. You attacking us with barbed wire nightsticks and spraying us down with water hoses and sending the attack dogs and pepper spray and all that stuff when we just being peaceful. You know what I'm saying? So instantly, when they show up like that, you get defensive. You get defensive. You get ready to attack, and then maybe you got that one antsy person that just starts everything. But I'm saying that's this. You need to realize that's that relationship there. That's where that comes from. And so back again, going back to the history, kind of going off on tangents, but I think that's fine. In regards to equal rights, like I said, black people did not have equal rights to, as soon as abolition of slavery. It wasn't like, everything was all gung ho and good and, we just meshed well. No, we were still second class citizens. Again, we weren't provided the best materials for school. We weren't provided the best schools. We weren't provided the best jobs. We had to take whatever we can get. You know what I'm saying? And that's what white people at the time decided to do. You know what I'm saying? They decided to make it hard like that. And that's what we got. And so then you finally get, affirmative action. And I wanted to talk about affirmative action because there's this misconception with affirmative action that says that just because I'm black, I'm going to get this job, if they have affirmative action. No, what it says is that if I'm black and you're white and we both have the same qualifications, that they're going to give me the opportunity, especially if the whole company is white. That's all that said. And all that was a means for us to get some equality there. You know what I'm saying? To get some equalness. That's not saying that you have to you have to have this unskilled, uneducated, unworthy person. No, that's saying that if we have the same qualifications, or if I have the same or a little bit better qualifications, that you have to consider me. You know what I'm saying? You got to take me. That's all that was. And that's just a way for us to get in the foot in the door. We still got to perform as well as anybody else. That was just to help us get our foot in the door. And I know it sounds unfair, but you have to think about, we didn't have no opportunities. You know what I'm saying? It would simply be, you black, you're not getting this job. But I got these qualifications. I went to school. I got an education. I got a college. I don't care. You're not getting this job. I'm going to give it to, whoever over here. That's white or whatever. That's how that worked. You know what I'm saying? And so, remember in college we used to have these, guys debates about affirmative action. You hear, the white kids, white college kids, I think it's unfair, this and that. And I'm like, but do you understand where it's coming from? They, like I said, people think that it's just you have to hire this person just because they're black. No, they have to meet the qualifications. You know what I'm saying? And if you can prove that you didn't hire them because they were unqualified, no action will be taken against you, right? But if it was proved that the only reason you didn't hire them was because they were black. They were more than qualified. They were qualified or more than qualified, but you didn't hire them because they were black. Then yeah, there were repercussions. You know what I'm saying? But people seem to forget about that aspect, that you know what I'm saying, that we didn't have the same opportunities, and like there's a lot of old money in America. There's a lot of old people in America that kind of still think that way. You know what I'm saying? So now I probably should look this up before I start talking, but I, you know what I'm saying, I haven't heard too much of affirmative action, type things in recent years. Um, a lot of the time I hear people's equal opportunity employers, but you know what I'm saying, for affirmative action, there's a lot of old money people that think like that. That was a way for us to get our foot in the door. You know what I'm saying, that's what you got to understand there. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about on affirmative action. And then it wasn't just for, last point on affirmative action, it wasn't just for black people, minorities, other minorities, and women too. Gender stuff too. It went that way as well. It wasn't just for black people. You know what I'm saying? It's saying if you're a woman and I'm a man and you are as qualified or more qualified, then I have to hire this woman. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you get into the job and you fail to perform, I can fire you. You know what I'm saying? I can let you go. And I can show that, it's because you failed to perform, then I hire, whoever. But that's how that worked. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just this, you know, unfair act of, you know what I'm saying, you know, picking me over you just because I'm black. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was, you get a taste of what we go through. And then you feel that anger, you feel like it's unfair and you don't like it, but you don't think, you know what I'm saying, you need to think that, oh, well, maybe that's what black people go through. That's not the process people take. You know what I'm saying? But it'd be smart that you do that sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Just if you're put in a situation and you do this to some people and then it gets done to you and you get pissed off and it upsets you, try to take a minute to think, have I done this to somebody? Do I do this to people? Um, so that's there. Looks like we're about 54 minutes in. It's looking like, but I'm gonna keep going. Um, Another thing I wanted to, well, this will tie into the next topic, which is, I got it kind of hash line here, is like inherent violence. And so how I mentioned, earlier, I'm saying that black people are inherently violent. Um, that's our culture, um, things in that nature. And I touched on it before, and I said, and I got written down here, what I'm saying, if we are more inherently violent, then who's to blame? You know what I'm saying? And again, just talking about the Martin Luther King, and just response, not even just Martin Luther King, but responses to peaceful protests, how that is met with violence, you know. And so, yeah, I kind of touched on all this here is authority figures. And I think another thing with authority figures, because like you could say, even now, okay, so even now, um, black people are just, we respond to authority figures in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? Whether they're black, white, or whatever. And I also think part of that too is that you get these people who either think in the old way, as far as kind of being still racist and prejudiced, or you get them and they think just because they're in this situation, they're so much better than you. You know what I'm saying? They are better than you, um, and you are just this. You're nothing. You know what I'm saying? You're a stepping stool. They're better than you. You should do what they say. You should listen to what they say, just because they're better than you. You know, and you will say black people tend to get like that too. As soon as they get in a, some of them, as soon as they get in a position of power, as soon as they get any type of authority, they abuse it. You know what I'm saying? They abuse it, especially if they know. You know what I'm saying? Like if they know some people's doing something dirty, they abuse it. You know what I'm saying? Like, example, and this is not, but let's say, example, I'm a police officer and I know, know my cousin been selling drugs for years. Now I'm this police officer and I really don't really care for him. Yeah, go mess with him every chance I get. Every chance I get, just because I know he's doing dirty. Mess with him and all his friends. You know, and you probably look at that and say, oh well, you know, you're a police officer, that's your job, and that's true. But what about in the cases where they just doing it just to mess with them? Not to ain't no plans on taking them in. I just want that stash or whatever. So dirty cops. And that runs rapid. You got dirty cops. So another one I wanted to bring up is the ooh, come on, camera, focus. There we go. Sorry about that. So another thing I wanted to bring up was the how I see white crimes versus black crimes, and I feel like there's a tendency for, let's say, a black person commits, robs a gas station. A white person robs a gas station. There's a tendency for the black person to get a more violent, more physical response than a white person. You know what I'm saying? There's a tendency for a white person to get tased, whereas a black person gets shot for the same crime. You know what I'm saying? So, and just solely because I'm black, you feel like you got to come at me with more force just because I'm black, and I can be as cooperative as ever. You know what I'm saying? And then if I'm cooperative, maybe you won't shoot me, but you'll tase me. Versus, the white person being cooperative, then they get walked into the car. You know what I'm saying? Get treated like a person. You know, so that's and I've seen that in a lot of situations. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a young black kid, young kid, at the park with a BB gun, but police show up and shoot him because he got, like, really. And yeah, I've heard, heard about that story. Didn't hear about a man, walking down the street. He has his concealed carry permit or whatever, so he can open carry his rifle, and he walking down the street open carrying his rifle for the sole purpose, because he can do it. He not breaking no laws. But it's again one of those things, it's gonna cause issues. People going it's that shock factor. People gonna be upset. But this white man walking down the street with a rifle on his back, and the police show up to him. You know, hey, how you doing? You got a permit for that? Da 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 da. All well and good. Where this little black kid, they show up, pop pop, he gets shot. No questions asked. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that we get treated this way. You know what I'm saying? And I advise you to go back and look at stuff like that. Look at stories like that. If you don't believe me, look at how the white response is, um, to the black response. Just look at those. Just look at that.